welcome to the Speaking Ill podcast. I'm so excited to finally get this Bad Mamma Jamma up and running. I am your host. I am Brian King. A little bit about myself. I'm just about to turn 33 this year. I was diagnosed with CF at birth. And of course, because it's a CF podcast and it's a very important question, I know, my current lung function is 55%. I have had many ups and downs throughout my life with CF. I've gotten, my career started, got relationships going, now married. I've been in a medically induced coma. I've been on a ventilator. Lung function has dropped to 18% at one point. I have been through tons of it, right? It's been one hell of a ride, guys. So I've wanted to create a podcast around CF for so long, but life has just been crazy as shit the past couple of years. So I in the past couple of years, okay, keep that in mind, I've moved 4 times to 2 different states. I've switched jobs twice. I've had over 30 interviews last year, got engaged, I got married, and I just bought 2 houses recently. It's been a crazy, crazy adventure. But all right, so you might be asking yourself, okay, but what is this podcast going to be about, and why did I want to create one? Well, first and foremost, this will be a podcast for everyone. Everyone's welcome. But more specifically, we're here to discuss topics around the cystic fibrosis community. So for those that might have stumbled upon this podcast and has no clue what cystic fibrosis or CF is, let me tell you, it is just a barrel of monkeys. It's so much fun. It's a progressive genetic disorder that affects the lungs, the pancreas, and other organs. What I've always found is funny is the CF community is a very tight-knit community. Like it feels like we all kind of know each other and we're all kind of so close, but yet ironically, we're not allowed to be in the same room as each other. So yet we're so far away. It's very, very, very interesting. And there's so many topics around CF that we can talk about, laugh at, and we can learn from, right? We got weight gain topics. We got healthcare team topics. We have lung transplant. We have dating with CF, how to get a job with CF. What do you do in your free time? What hobbies? All kinds of stuff that CF plays a part in our lives. So what's so special about this CF podcast, right? Because there are actually other CF podcasts, not many, but there's a few, and a lot of YouTubes out there, right? And social media. We're big on social media, it seems like. Well, this podcast is going to have a little bit different take on CF than I think we're used to seeing. This podcast is going to be honest, okay? It's going to be blunt and full of transparency. So there's no fluff. There's not going to be any medical jargon, and there's not going to be any pity parties. The goal of this podcast is to provide perspective and make us think. With this disease, we have to be our own health advocates. We got to work alongside our care teams and talk together as a team and not just take orders. So after all, no one knows our bodies better than ourselves, right? But anyway, guys, this podcast is going to be great. I think it's going to be really fun. It's going to be super beneficial. So one thing I've always kind of struggled with or got frustrated with is when you go to some of these CF forums out there and you have questions and you're looking for answers or you're just looking to have people to relate to, a lot of them aren't that. A lot of them are like really, dark humor or trolls or giving you judging you for your questions. There just doesn't seem to be a lot of positivity in the community where there needs to be. And so I'm hoping to bring a lot more positivity into people's minds and lives through this podcast. We're going to have some laughs. We're going to have some things we can relate to and agree about. And we're going to have some things that we disagree about. It is super important to have things that we disagree about because that's what makes us think and makes us question ourselves and makes us question what's going on around us. If we didn't have that, everyone would just be robots taking orders, right? Does that make sense? So this podcast is supposed to provide. It's going to provide all of that. But most importantly, guys, keep in mind, I am not a doctor nor a healthcare expert. This is not going to be medical advice. You should always listen to your own healthcare team before making any decisions about your health. In this podcast, I'm only sharing my own perspective, opinions, and experiences. So in all seriousness, guys, for real, I think this podcast has been great. I really want to be driven by the listeners. I have an email, which is speakingillpodcast@gmail.com. So anytime you guys want to share a story or have questions you'd like me to talk about or topics you'd like me to talk about on the podcast, please, please, please do not hesitate to email me. I promise, I'm a friendly guy. And you could be worried that I bite, but guess what? Don't even worry about it because we're not allowed in the same room together, okay? Biting's not even going to be possible. So, and I'm really never going to judge you guys for your questions. You know, I think that's the worst. I think there's never a dumb question, right? Like that's how we learn. That's how we improve. That's how we get better. We ask questions and we learn. So keep that in mind as you're listening. And again, like share some stories. I'll share some stories on the podcast if you guys like. Don't hesitate to reach out and ask questions, guys. But anyway, all that being said, guys, you know what they call us. We're called CF Warriors. So let's start creating that warrior mindset and let's start speaking ill.